Back in 2022, everything in my life collapsed. My relationship ended, my business stopped making money, and I decided to move. But I was still able to build my life back up by focusing on who I spend time with, what I work on, and where I live. If you're currently in a bad spot, this is how you can reinvent your life in 6 months. This drawing here is the backbone of today's presentation. Let me quickly introduce it to you. Here in the middle is your house. This is what we protect at all costs. Foundation consists of 3 pillars: who, what, and where. Who is the people in your life partner, your team, and your friends. What do I work on? Where do I live? When there's a crack in the foundation, when one, or like in my case, 3 of these pillars fall apart, this is what we go through. This is the emotional cycle. Why me? What now? And when is this over? To tackle these issues, we need these 3 principles. Accept it, build strength, and focus. Life doesn't fight fair. You need to bounce back. You need to be able to deal with uncertainty and then focus on yourself and on the present moment. That is quickly what we're going to go through today. And now, part number 1, which is who, meaning people in your life. The most important decision in your life is to decide who your life partner is. What happens when that whole thing falls apart, goes south? You go through a divorce like me. Well, you keep asking, why me? That's the first question in our emotional cycle. What's the counterforce? How do you tackle that? Principle number 1, you accept it. Instead of asking a lot of questions as far as why did it happen to me? What did I do to deserve this? I'm a good person. None of that matters. This is what I did. I made the mistake of having countless discussions with people. I talked and I talked and I talked until I was blue in the face, until I was literally sick of it. Then I realized maybe a year and a half later, when I had been asking why a lot, that actually, instead of asking why, I need to shift my thinking model towards behavior. I need to change my behavior. I need to get better in order to attract better. So complaining is the same as me not accepting the way this world works. And then the other thing I understood was that, okay, why is it so hard? Because punishment fades and reward sticks. We don't remember those bad moments with our ex-partners. We seem to be only remembering the good stuff. And that's why it's so super hard. What helped in my case is understanding that, accepting it. I deserve nothing. I'm grateful for everything and everyone. Life does not fight fair. And then second question here, what now? How do I ever find anyone again? I'm desperate. I'm alone. I'm not used to being like this. What do I do? Number 1 thing is to get better. Let me explain what I did. I told you that I was talking to people close to me, making the mistake of going through that cycle of why me? I didn't deserve this. And I listened to those people who were really close to me because it's easy for them to whisper in my ear. It's easy for me to listen to these people. What I should have done is to listen to those people who are closest to my goal, who have gone through this process. Once I realized that none of my closest friends or family members had done that before, I actually had to find mentors and benchmarks elsewhere. I didn't really hire anybody, but I started reading books, talking to myself, going to see a therapist, and actually watching a lot of videos and all of that stuff. So I understood I need to get better. I need to find new benchmark behavior models. So this is what I did. So I set new criteria for people in my life. So number 1, these people need to be supporting me no matter what. We need to have aligned interests. And third, the most important one, I need to also learn something from these people. It has to be a 2-way street. 1 + 1 has to equal 3. And number 2 here, practice. I identified I was really bad at saying no. I used to be a yes guy, saying yes to every single opportunity, keeping all the doors open, having all the insurance policies in the life. So what did I do was that, okay, I started saying no by default because I needed focus. So principles that applies here. What now? How can I ever find anybody again? Build strength and have focus. The other thing, I started to put the reps in. I understood dealing with people, going through a divorce, going through a breakup was hard for me because I used to be in control. When somebody put me in a position where I was not in control anymore, somebody else controlled the situation, I started panicking. Okay, what did I do? I started meeting people, put the reps in. Sometimes I walked away after a couple of dates. Sometimes people walked away on me. That was really, really super good practice. I've been doing that now for 3 years. If you're in the same boat, spend some time alone. Don't jump into a new relationship right away. I can relate to you. It's super hard because you keep asking yourself, doubting your capabilities, only seeing your own weaknesses. But you have that unique fingerprint. There are plenty of people on this planet who appreciate your qualities, your unique character traits. But the point is to get better, because if you want to attract better talent, so to say, The first step is for me to get better first. That's what I understood. So you do it by benchmarking your behavior towards those people or against those people who are actually better than you. Stop listening to the people who are closest to you. They have no idea what you're going through. Find new benchmarks, mentors, read, study, get better so that you can attract better talent. Okay? And find your own weaknesses. In my case, it was these two. I set new criteria and I wanted to make sure that I need to put the reps in. I'm a volume guy. Volume fixes 80% of the issues. You need to work hard so that you can work smart. And ultimately, you work hard and smart. When is this over? When can I see some light at the end of the tunnel? And the principle that applies mostly builds strength and also focus. Regarding building strength, the number one thing is the ability to deal with uncertainty. Because this is a big problem in your life. There are two kinds of challenges, the small ones and the big ones. The small ones can be decided, can be fixed with one quick action. Get that tire fixed. Make your headache go away by popping a pill. Not this one, because there are 50 or 100 or 200 little things that have to be solved. It might take years. Like in my case, when you go through a divorce, you might feel like shit for 2 years in a row. That's perfectly normal. And that's why dealing with uncertainty is so super crucial. Those people who can survive and they get better and enter a better relationship down the road, they are the ones who can deal with uncertainty. Couple of tools for that. What did I do? I started journaling. I started writing down what I'm grateful for. Glass is always half full. The rule there, write down 3 things every single day. And then the second rule, they have to be different than yesterday. And then third, this is the bonus point, revisit those. Reread your old notes. They are super, super powerful. Okay? Stop chasing outcomes. Disconnect yourself from the past and from the future and focus on the present moment. Super hard as well. Appreciate everything. Starts by accepting the reality. Life doesn't fight fair like we already discussed. Adversity is given. Every single thing that happens in your life, you need to be grateful for. Okay, how do I do that? You always win, no matter what happens. Either you get the desired outcome or you get that epic story or the lesson. Okay? And then make progress. This is huge. Okay, so the point is not to be successful on any given day, make a lot of money or heal, so to say. The point is just to make progress, because there will be plenty of days when you don't feel like getting up. You start by taking little actions. That's how you make progress. You get up, make breakfast, you make your bed, you show up, you send that email. And that's how I was able to fix my feelings first for 5 minutes. Then the following day I noticed that when I took action, all of a sudden I felt good for 10 minutes. And before you realize those 10 minutes turn into 2 hours, and all of a sudden it's like half of the day you were not even thinking about those divorce or breakup issues. That's how you fix your feelings, when you take action first. But your goal is only just to make progress. You don't need to win the week or the month. Just make progress every day and just look at that one day. Not tomorrow, but it's only about that one day. Moving on to the next pillar, which is what? What do I do for a living? At the same time, I was lucky. Why? Because I got to reset this pillar too. There were plenty of cracks here as well. My business stopped making money and I wasn't pleased with that anymore. I didn't find the motivation that I needed to have to be successful. Push or pivot is one of those key questions that every single entrepreneur needs to go through. I've been terrible at pivoting. I keep pushing. I've been very good at exercising and training for 32 years. So push is in my DNA. It takes an extra effort for me to pivot. But here, I finally saw that I had to do something. It started by me seeing the market collapse. I started losing money. I started losing focus and interest. I was like, okay, great. I just went through this divorce and this breakup, and now I get to do this as well. So an extra layer of challenge for me. Okay, I like challenges, but this was kind of hard in the beginning. Okay, so why now? I'm not going to spend too much time on it, except it's the reality. So it was actually a lot easier here for me. I get to reset all at once. I was like, great, be grateful, find the silver lining. Glass is always half full. Okay, then the next question, okay, what now? We're going through the same emotional cycle here. Why me? What now? And then when is this over? Figure out what you want. There's 2 steps here. Figure out what you want and then go get it. Of these 2 things, this is the hard one. Most people spend all of their time trying to figure out how to get that one thing or whatever that thing is. Just accumulate a lot of assets, a lot of money, get that boat or get that yacht or that summer cottage, whatever that thing is, but they're not very super clear on what direction to go to. In my mind, of these two, this is where you need to do the heavy lifting. You got to be crystal clear on what you want in life, and then getting it is actually a lot easier. Okay, here's my roadmap, so to say. Talk to yourself. This is what I did. I started having these conversations because I'm the biggest believer in knowing yourself, being able to tap into your endless energy called your intuition. Go back to the past, do whatever you want, read books, have conversations with yourself, because people outsource, they delegate thinking because that's hard. I don't think there's such thing as overthinking. People who, call you overthinker, I think they are just jealous that you're able to do that. It would be a problem if you couldn't couple that with action taking. Okay? Journal, same thing. I mentioned that when it comes to gratitude, I did a lot of that. Now from the business perspective. And then I started asking myself, what feels like play to me, but looks like work to others? What would I do even if nobody gave me any money for it? And started being very curious about new things. And then I asked myself, okay, what am I willing to start? 10-year rule, and continue doing for at least 10 years. In other words, never stop. That starts to be something that's interesting to me. And the more I thought about it, the more I wanted to help people, coach, share my ideas, but still do business. That's how I arrived at creating YouTube videos, making content, coaching people, helping people, still trying to run my business at the same time. Right now, this feels like a perfect combination. Fear was trying to prevent me from doing this, like in all of our lives. How did I tackle that? I have this one rule that I always go back to, which is my deathbed moment. Nowadays, I don't want to talk or use that word that much anymore. I talk about the time when I'm 90 or 100 years old. I go and ask myself, this thing right now that I'm facing, maybe a new business, become a business coach, be in front of a camera, talk to you guys. Is this something, if I don't do it now, am I going to regret it at 90? This was so clear. I have to just do it because I'm never going to forgive myself if I don't pull the trigger now. So if you are going through the same thing here, do not let fear take control over your situation, because 78% of the people, remember, in retirement homes, they regret the things they didn't do. Okay? Make sure that you talk to yourself. But the key question here is, where's my natural curiosity? What do I feel passionate about? And then you go towards that thing and ignore everybody else's opinion. Then the second part, like I promised, not so hard. Yeah, joke. Go get it. So this is how you take action. Okay? So massive volume, unreasonable amounts of work. I'm the biggest believer in volume, because when others have a head start, so to say, and you try to catch up, what do? You try to get better. How do you get better? You don't learn how to drive a car by sitting in a parked car. You don't learn how to squat at the gym by reading books about it. You go there and do it. You have to put in the reps. If you want to make sure that you perfect your technique, you have to go and do it. This is the thing. People just don't simply, in my opinion, take enough action. Unreasonable amounts of volume so that you make it unreasonable for you not to succeed. That's the whole idea. You need to be so much better. Like in my case, I spent literally a year studying everything that I now talk about, writing down my own learnings, listening to other people, reading books and all of that. And it still is a learning journey. I'm getting better. I mean, I'm a rookie with these videos. When you guys think about starting something, just go ahead and do it. People are perfectionists, but in the wrong way. There are good perfectionism and there's bad perfectionism. Good perfectionism is something where you just take action based on a predefined schedule, but you're willing to accept daily variations and deviations in your output. Focus on the inputs, put in the work, okay? Make a calendar. That's what I did. I put together my content blocks. Okay, this is regarding my marketing efforts, how I promote my business. That's what I mean here. So 3 times 4 hours. I created my calendar. I reshuffled everything based on saying no to the stuff that I can't say yes to anymore. Then I reintroduce or introduce these new items into my weekly schedule that are going to move my ball forward in giant leaps going forward. Content creation is one thing, because I had to let people know that I exist. This is my biggest way to promote and market, by making these videos, by talking about my lessons. So I made a calendar. So there is, if it's not documented, it's nowhere. If it's nowhere, it's not a priority, then it doesn't get done. Put in the work, but make sure that it's somewhere documented. Find your compass. What does that mean? Find your why, find your motivation, whatever you want to call it. What was mine in the beginning? I desperately wanted to get better. And the second thing, really my compass, was my message to my kids. I always asked, and I still do, is this something that my kids, now almost 17, almost 20, can benefit from at some point in their lives? And as long as it's useful, I know that I'm on the right track. I might not get the maximum number of views or clicks or likes or whatever, or subscribers. Those are vanity metrics. I need to get better. Remember from the previous sections, make progress. When the going gets tough, just make progress. You gotta find your compass. What's your big why? What's that reason why you wake up every morning and you keep doing it? That 10-year rule. Only start those activities that you're gonna commit to for at least 10 years, because one season typically lasts for 10 years based on my experience. 10,000 iterations, not 10,000 hours, but iterations. 10,000 hours simply would indicate that you just keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. You gotta iterate. I have no idea how many times already within the first 15 months of creating content, I have done these mini pivots. It's like, okay, this doesn't work. Analyze what you're doing. Does it work? Does it not work? What can I do? So it's constant. That's why we need to get started. Speed when it comes to execution is crucial, and then you change directions all the time, but you keep moving your feet. Again, takes me back to taking massive action, unreasonable amounts of work. When is this over? How do I pay my bills? The same thing. Money is a huge source of anxiety in our lives. I've been fortunate to accumulate assets, rental properties. So point blank, here's what I did. I sold my house, I paid off debt, and I've been selling some of my investments to be able to pay bills, bring food to the table. I mentioned in one of my earlier videos that I lost $150,000 last year in my real estate business in order to focus on this where I made zero money, or actually lost some money too. So that's the price tag I was willing to pay last year alone, not to mention 2023, as far as focusing on something else. Sometimes it's worth paying the world whatever it takes to leave you alone, to have some clarity. Ask yourself, what are you so afraid of losing when nothing in the world belongs to you anyhow? What I mean by that is that if you think about it, we were born naked, broke, with nothing, alone. We complete this 360 called life. We end up the same way, with nothing, broke. So everything literally is on loan. So people stress about money, they stress about status. But of course I understand that there are people who have nothing to their name, and that's completely understandable. There's nothing wrong with that. We have all started with nothing. So you're no different if you're on that same boat. If that's your case, here's what I would do. I would work that 9 to 5, assuming that's your job still. You want to start something else. You want to pivot, start a new company, whatever you want to do. Then there's still that 5 to 9 left. Watch less Netflix. Do something else with your time. Make it useful. Make it productive. And a huge one here. Are you trying, or are you doing whatever it takes to get shit done in life? When you ask people, okay, we need to get a hold of this person. Yeah, I sent him an email. I sent her a second email. No, that's not what I mean. That's not doing it or doing whatever it takes. You send an email, you text, you make a couple of phone calls. If nothing, you show up at their office. If not, you go to their house. You do whatever it takes to get a hold of somebody if you have to, if that's the thing that moves the ball forward. When you approach life and actions that way, it opens up another set of opportunities that you haven't even been thinking about. That's why I like to think in extremes, doing nothing versus doing everything. And yeah, the truth is always somewhere in the middle. I'm not saying that you go through the worst case scenario and hold anybody at gunpoint. Not at all. That's not the point. But it's very, very useful to understand what is it that I can deal with as far as what my options are with two extremes. Then ask yourself, am I trying, or am I doing whatever it takes to make that possible? So if you have close to nothing to your name, keep working, keep doing that 9 to 5, and then use those extra 4 to 5 hours every night to work on your side hustle, on your business, and eventually you'll get there, because everybody started with zero. I already changed the people in my life, what I do, so why not just change my environment too, right? 2 out of 3 is nothing. Why not go all in 3 out of 3? That's how I felt. I had to do it. Because change your environment, change your behavior has been one of the biggest principles in my life. It has served me so well. I noticed that every time I hop on a plane, I travel somewhere, everything quiets down. There's no noise. It's just clarity. I have this sense of calmness, peace in my mind. I wanted to do more of that. Because if you remember in the beginning of the conversation or presentation today, we talked about how we need to change our behaviors. It's not just being stuck with why, but it's about becoming a better version of yourself. So change your behavior has been one of my biggest mantras or principles in life. So 2 out of 3 had to go all in, whatever it takes. Simplify, sell, downsize, reset. The only doubt I had in the beginning was my kids. I was like, okay, they have only lived in this house when living in Europe. I was like, okay, well, I got to have a conversation with them. But like in most of the cases, I was just making it way bigger. I was like, what do you mean, Dad? Just go ahead. That's fine. We might want to change as well. So that was good. That was fear in my mind. That was actually not a real fear. I talk a lot about intuition, how it's my biggest compass and why in these big decisions in life. How do I find that? To me, it's finding that clarity. Get rid of 90% of the noise around you so that you find that 10%. And that's super hard. Like we talked about in what, we were like, okay, so we need to understand, figure out what we want to do in life, and then getting it is the easier part. Same thing here. It's like intuition is related to the same thing. How do I do it? So you do more so that you learn more, and then you know more. And then when you have all of that knowledge and you can apply it, and it's like, okay, this stuff I don't need, then you probably hold on to 10%. It's one of the hardest things in life. So you cut 90% to get clarity. And there's always going to be fear that's going to stop you or trying to stop you from doing things. I already mentioned my deathbed moment, meaning I talk to myself when I'm 90 and I ask myself, am I going to regret this thing at 90 if I don't do it now? And that's one of the biggest guiding principles for me. The other one is that I play it out in my own head. What's the worst thing that can happen? Okay, so if I lose all my money, well, maybe I lose my house, I can't buy food, maybe I'm dead. Because ultimately we always think that, okay, we're going to die if the worst case happens. But no, even though we have this negativity bias, because remember back in the day, if there was a weird sound in the bush behind you, it was like, okay, either that's my lunch or I become somebody else's lunch. That's what that negativity bias means. We have this exceptional ability to sense danger, but we don't need that exceptional ability anymore in our personal life. Sometimes in business it serves us well because attention to details, sensing danger, serves us really well. But when it comes to pursuing these personal goals, we actually have to put that aside. We have to understand that, okay, even if the worst case scenario happened, we would still have friends in our life who would be able to let us crash in their spare bedroom, give us food, or we would still be able to breathe. We're still alive. So it's not that bad, actually. So what are we afraid of losing when nothing in this world really belongs to us anyhow? Remember? So go all in. I changed everything. 3 out of 3 in my life. I have 0 regrets. Had I not done that, I know for a fact that I would be regretting those things at 90. So what do you do when everything falls apart? You ask, why me? You accept it. What now? You build strength. When is this over? You focus on yourself and on the present moment. You rebuild one block at a time. You choose better people. You do what lights you up. And you live in an environment that inspires you. And then you trust that brick by brick, it all comes together. That's it for the video. I appreciate you watching until the end. I just wanted to say quickly that I'm actually looking for a couple of people to help change their lives in the next 6 months. So if you're someone who's done making excuses and want to rebuild your life the right way, whether it's your business, your relationships, or your environment, I'm happy to help. Hop on a call with me, make a reservation. There's a link down below. Book a time slot with me and I will talk to you personally. On that call, I will identify that one thing that's keeping you stuck and put together an action plan for you. Normally, I charge my clients for this, but for this video, it's free. Again, thanks for watching and I'll see you again in the next one. Thank you.